deal. Now, I could probably talk for another hour about that because it's a complex area. What I will say is when you get to this stage, you must have professional advisors with you. They don't have to be with you in the room all the time, but when you're actually sitting down and hashing through the points, you need to make sure that your lawyers and your accountants see that information, see those documents, and they'll be skilled in dealing with that and will know what to do. Make sure, by the way, that you might just have a local lawyer or accountant who's never done this kind of thing before. Fine to keep those people on as your local advisors for what you're doing, but when you're getting into something like this, you need lawyers and accountants who understand deal making, who understand this process, and who've done it many times before. So please, when you're getting down to negotiation, have the right professional advisors. It's absolutely critical. It's probably the most important step, because if you don't, you'll miss stuff in the sale and purchase agreement, or in the investment agreement, or in the shareholders agreement, where if you weren't aware of it and all of a sudden something happens and it triggers this particular thing, bad things can happen. So get professional advice. Okay, we've covered an awful lot of material. I'd just like to quickly recap everything. So we started off, we talked about what it's really like out there. We talked about the frightful state of the statistics. Then I told you about the 7 women in the 7 industries in 4 different countries. So, evidence that there is possibility. There are people who can do it. We talked about cognitive bias and gender stereotyping. And then we had a big chunky section all about raising money. So do you really want to raise money? What kind of business are you running? What are the different types of funding? And then we talked at some length about your fundraising assets. We've talked about researching and approaching investors. We've talked about pitching. We've talked about negotiating the deal. It's a lot to watch. Fortunately, it's going to be available online, so you can come back and see it again. But just to close it out and to point you at some further resources if you want to know some more. So number 1, my book, Funded Female Founders. It was published in June of this year. Everyone who is registered to attend the conference will be getting a PDF version of the book. I will also be at the live event in Cheltenham. I will have books available at a discounted price for sale, and I'm happy to sign them for you. So please do check out the book. Number 2, I have a TEDx talk called The Fight for Fairer Funding. So if you just go onto YouTube and type in The Fight for Fairer Funding, you can see my TEDx talk. And that kind of gives you a bit more of the backstory of how this whole journey for me began and where it's going. And number 3, please do go on and register on our website. It's www.funding-focus.com. So the company is Funding Focus, and the website is www.funding-focus.com. And finally, in closing, I just want to let you know that I am currently working with a team of 5 women and 1 other man on the launch of a new investment fund that we are aiming to get away in November of this year. It's going to be a little bit different than many of the investment funds because it's going to be listed on the London Stock Exchange. It's going to be a public company. And that's a deliberate strategic decision that our board took, because far too much of what goes on in the venture capital and private equity world is private, opaque, and almost impossible to make your way through. And so we want to bring transparency to the market. We want to bring transparency about how this works, about what happens, and it'll involve the ups and the downs. And we're completely open to that. We know that, but we feel it's really important to drive transparency. And the other key thing is, and again, once you've seen my various things on the website, on my TEDx, on my book, I am speaking regularly about this subject. Having a public company will give me a platform that enables me to spread that message further, because I am committed to doing everything I can to level a very uneven playing field. So thank you very much for your attention. It's been lovely spending this time with you. And if you're in Cheltenham, please come by and say hello. And for the rest of you, you've got my contact details. You can find them in the book. You can find me online. You can find me on LinkedIn. And I look forward to helping you and seeing where it goes from here. So thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.